You walk through the world under the weight of a companion you cannot see. Yet it shadows every step, whispers in every decision, and curls around your chest like a coil of unseen steel. Modern life tells you it is stress, it is anxiety, it is doubt, but you know better when you sit in the quiet and the truth emerges. It is fear, ancient and patient, waiting for your misstep. Musashi understood this. He moved through danger not in ignorance, but with awareness of the shadow that follows all men who breathe. Fear is not an enemy to flee, it is a mirror of your hidden self, reflecting where you are soft, unprepared, and untested. You have trained yourself to mask it, to drown it in noise, in comfort, in distraction. But each avoidance sharpens its claws. The moment you realize that every evasive step only feeds the shadow, the first stirrings of power awaken. There is a jolt in this recognition, a tremor in the marrow. As you see the lies you have carried, the illusions of safety, the comforts that promised security and delivered weakness, Musashi did not run from this truth. He confronted it, embraced its presence, and let the awareness of fear refine him, sharpen him, and forge him into a man capable of facing the world alone in the stillness. You sense it. The first step to power is not the conquest of external foes, but the confrontation with the shadow that never sleeps. You must walk beside it, learn its weight, and understand its language. Only then does the faintest stir of courage rise, a quiet flame in the darkness, marking the path that separates men who tremble from men who endure. Fear is no longer an enemy. It is the measure of your resolve, the proving ground of your strength, and the companion that whispers truth when all else deceives. You are surrounded, yet alone. The world teaches you to look outward for reassurance, to seek approval, and to measure your worth by fragile constructs. Popularity, influence, safety nets woven by others' hands. Yet these are illusions, delicate scaffolds that shatter under pressure. Musashi walked differently. He knew that followers, alliances, and the applause of the crowd could never defend a man facing true danger. Dependence is weakness. It is the nourishment upon which fear grows. When the noise fades, when the support vanishes, you are left exposed. The trembling of your mind is revealed in the silence. Here, the quiet shame of understanding your courage is internal, not borrowed, strikes with clarity. Men who depend on others' strength crumble the instant they must stand alone. Musashi's path was carved in this solitude, in the absence of witness, in the knowledge that survival demanded self-reliance. The crowd feeds fear with every whispered expectation, every fleeting smile, every promise of protection that cannot endure. Strength, by contrast, grows in solitude, in the moments when you confront the world without applause, when your footsteps echo in empty halls and the only witness is the man you see in the mirror. Fear thrives among the voices of others. Power rises in the quiet spaces where only you remain to act, to decide, to endure. This lesson is relentless. The first time you accept that no one is coming to shield you, the shadow of fear shrinks before your eyes. You feel its shape, its size, and yet it no longer commands you. The warrior learns to feed himself courage, to harvest power from solitude, and to let the absence of the crowd be the forge where inner strength is hammered into permanence. The world tells you to seek company, to conform, to lean upon others. But true mastery, true courage, is born in the crucible of isolation. Pain, challenge, and fear reveal themselves fully only when unshared, unsoftened, and unobserved. Musashi walked alone across hostile lands, unprotected, unpraised. facing threats that demanded every ounce of his skill, his patience, his mind sharpened to clarity. Modern dependency dulls courage. Approval, distraction, and noise shield men from confronting themselves. Solitude is uncomfortable because it is honest. It strips away the pretense, the borrowed strength, and lays bare the marrow of your being. In these moments, fear speaks clearly. It is no longer a whisper. It is a teacher demanding you reckon with hesitation, doubt, and the inertia of the weak. Yet within this unobserved path lies transformation. Walking alone, you begin to notice the rhythms of your own strength, the cadence of your resolve, the silent truth that you are capable beyond what the crowd allowed you to believe. Each step forward in quiet assertion builds an internal weapon, a resilience invisible to those who prefer distraction. Unnoticed by the applause-hungry world, embrace the isolation consciously. Let it sharpen your perception, cultivate endurance, and temper the shadows that once loomed over you. In the echo of your own footsteps, the fear you carried becomes a measure of the strength you are forming. The path is yours alone, but therein lies its power. The courage you cultivate in solitude is unshakable, independent, and eternal. Fear does not always wear the face of danger. It lurks in hesitation, in doubt, in the ego that whispers excuses and rationalizations. Musashi's fiercest battles were fought within, where patience, discipline, and focus were tested more severely than any blade could strike. The modern man, distracted and sedated by noise and novelty, hides from this internal battlefield, leaving himself vulnerable to every shadow. Every hesitation, silence is your weapon here. It reveals the patterns of avoidance, the false narratives that weaken your spine and cloud your mind. When you face the enemy within, fear loses its camouflage. You see the cracks in your courage, the places where you bend, flinch, and falter. Repeated confrontation is the forge in which authority, confidence, and inner power are hammered into permanence. Victory over self is the precursor to mastery of the external world. Musashi understood this better than any, knowing that a man unarmed internally would crumble before the simplest of challenges outside. Each moment of quiet, each still confrontation with hesitation, is a step toward freedom. The fear that once dominated now becomes a gauge, a signal, a companion guiding disciplined action. You must train your mind to perceive the enemy in its true form, not as a tyrant that paralyzes, but as a force that, when acknowledged, strengthens. Fear within, once met with deliberate attention, yields clarity and courage. The warrior learns that the battlefield is first internal, and every victory there echoes outward in ways that no external conflict can replicate. Power grows in the shadows where effort is unseen, uncelebrated, and uncompensated. True strength is the result of unobserved, relentless discipline. Musashi sharpened not only his blade but his body, mind, and spirit daily, without reward, applause, or witness. Modern life confuses spectacle with strength, noise with action, and validation with courage. You must learn to practice when no one watches, to cultivate mastery that fear cannot pierce. Daily repetition and hardship transform anxiety into readiness, uncertainty into composure. Discipline is not a convenience. It is a weapon, a sword that lives in the body, in the routine, in the silent moments before dawn when the world sleeps and the weak dream of comfort. Fear, relentless in the untrained, is blunted by preparation, honed by deliberate action, and silenced by internal authority. The unseen work defines courage. The man who appears confident but avoids the silent grind falters when tested. Musashi's power was not granted by spectators. It was earned in solitude, in the deliberate, invisible shaping of skill and mind. The shadow of fear encounters this inner weapon and recoils. Through discipline, fear is not destroyed, but disarmed it becomes a tool for measured, deliberate action. A companion to guide rather than constrain. You must embrace the monotony, the repetition, the moments that feel unseen and irrelevant. These are the furnaces in which fear is tempered, and in which you become unshakable. The sword within is sharper than any external threat, because it is forged by choice, commitment, and the refusal to yield to weakness. Pain is unavoidable. Avoidance is weakness. Modern men seek to numb discomfort, but Musashi welcomed it. Cold, hunger, solitude, and danger were deliberate companions that revealed limits, tested resolve, and refined perception. Accidental suffering erodes. Voluntary hardship instructs. Pain, when faced with awareness, illuminates the cracks fear hides behind and guides the warrior toward clarity on moments of struggle. When comfort fails and distraction cannot intervene, endurance becomes the teacher. The quiet lessons of discomfort whisper truths the noisy world obscures. Pain instructs the mind to sharpen focus, the body to endure, and the spirit to rise. Fear is no longer a tyrant. It is the compass pointing toward growth, insight, and power. Courage emerges where struggle meets conscious awareness. Each trial survived, each discomfort embraced, chips away at hesitation, doubt, and weakness. You discover that the shadow of fear diminishes when you meet adversity on your terms, willingly, deliberately. The unspoken knowledge gained from pain is a map, guiding the steps of a warrior who walks alone, yet carries strength no one else can grant. Through this intentional confrontation, the path becomes clear. Fear is not to be eliminated but mastered, understood, and directed. Pain and fear transform from enemies into allies, silent instructors revealing what comfort can never teach. The man who has walked through fear unshaken understands that true power is quiet, steady, and unwavering. Resistance amplifies anxiety. Acceptance neutralizes it. Musashi's mastery was expressed not in aggression or display, but in presence, composure, and the silent authority that comes from endured trials. Silence tempers the storms that enslave most men. Where others are swept by panic, indecision, and noise, you stand. Strength is expressed in calm observation, in measured action, in the absence of unnecessary reaction. The warrior's authority is earned not through spectacle, but through the repeated confrontation with the shadow that whispers in the mind and lingers in the chest. Fear loses its grip when you move through the world unshakably, when every step is deliberate, every choice aligned with internal conviction rather than external expectation. The quiet man becomes a presence that is noticed not for noise, but for the stillness that commands attention, respect, and understanding. Power is not shouted, is embodied, lived, and carried silently in the spine. The gaze and the mind. Here lies the paradox. By embracing solitude, pain, discipline, and the shadow of fear itself, you become unshakable. The world cannot intimidate what has been tempered in quiet endurance. The fearless warrior is calm because he has seen the shadow, walked with it, and claimed mastery over it. The ultimate power exists where no one can intervene, where no applause is given, where the world cannot measure or deny it. Real strength is self-mastery, forged through deliberate solitude, disciplined effort, and conscious confrontation with fear. Musashi achieved alignment of body, mind, and spirit through these practices, claiming authority that no external force could bestow. Fear does not vanish. It becomes a companion, a guide, a reminder of boundaries overcome and lessons learned. Strength, clarity, and courage are claimed, never given. Walking alone with power requires embracing what the crowd cannot see, the unspoken, the quiet, the disciplined, the endured. Every step along this path is a testament to a demonstration that no one can grant dominion, because it is already yours to hold. The realization settles slowly. With gravity, fear exists, but you hold dominion over it. Pain teaches, solitude strengthens, discipline arms, and silence instructs. The warrior's power is internal, sovereign, and unassailable. When you accept that no external source can grant the authority you seek, the shadow of fear becomes light, revealing the path you have already begun to walk alone, and the quiet strength that has always been within.